Imagine this. You're standing in front of an old, dusty mirror in a forgotten attic, the kind that's been hidden away for years, covered in cobwebs and secrets. As you wipe away the grime, you catch a glimpse not of your familiar reflection, but of a stranger staring back, someone wilder, deeper, more alive than you've ever allowed yourself to be. What if that stranger is the real you, waiting to be set free? That's the mystery we're diving into today, my friend. And it's going to stir something deep inside you. You see, you might think you have yourself all figured out. You've got your name, your quirks, your favorite coffee order, perhaps a title at work, or a diploma hanging on the wall, and a bunch of accomplishments that make you feel solid. You've built this identity bit by bit, through the habits you've repeated, the expectations others have placed on you, the compliments that shaped you, and the tough times you've powered through. It feels real, doesn't it? Comfortable, like a well-worn jacket. But if Dr. Samuel Hayes, that brilliant American thinker who delved into the depths of the human mind, were sitting here with us right now, he'd lean in with a knowing smile and gently shake his head. He'd tell you that what you think is you is really just a facade, a carefully crafted role you've been playing so long it's fused to your skin. It's not the authentic you. It's a shield, a performance that started as protection and turned into a prison. And until you muster the courage to peel it away, to confront what's lurking beneath, you'll never truly step into who you're meant to be. Hayes didn't sugarcoat it. Discovering your true self isn't a cozy chat over tea. It's a battle, a fierce internal war, not against the world or the people in it, but against the polished image you've guarded with everything you've got. That image you sculpted to feel loved, to blend in, to earn nods of approval, to avoid rocking the boat. The harsh truth: so many folks would pick being popular over being genuine. They'd choose the safety of sameness over the wild freedom of truth. They'd cling to a neat, tidy story of themselves rather than embrace the messy journey to wholeness. But here you are, still with me, hanging on every word. That tells me something powerful about you. There's a spark inside, isn't there? A quiet rebellion, a weariness of the pretense, a deep hunger, not for quick fixes or more advice, but for the real you, the one you pushed aside, the one you silenced with worries like, what will they say? Or, what if I'm too intense? Or, what if this changes everything? This isn't just idle talk, my friend. This is your wake-up call, a heartfelt confrontation with the parts of yourself you've been dodging for far too long. You're on the verge of unearthing the fragments you've buried since childhood, the old patterns you adopted to keep everyone else at ease, the subtle defiances that bubble up whenever you fake a smile. This is what Hayes called individuation, the profound process of becoming whole. It's not about stumbling upon some hidden treasure. It's about piecing together the scattered parts of your soul. Let's walk this path together, step by emotional step. Dr. Hayes viewed the self not as a lucky find, but as something you actively weave together after facing your inner fragments. You won't uncover it through online quizzes that label your personality type, or by chasing fleeting passions, or scribbling ambitious goals on a vision board. No, the real work happens when you turn your gaze inward, into the shadowy corners, the turbulent chaos, the parts of you that feel forbidden. And oh, that concept of the shadow. It's the heart of it all, isn't it? Hayes described the shadow as the repository of everything you've shoved down, everything society or your upbringing deemed unacceptable. It's the fury you swallowed to stay polite, the self-interest you denied to seem selfless, the yearnings you buried to avoid judgment, the thoughts that were too raw, too bold, too real to voice. Over the years, that hidden pile just kept growing, like a secret garden overgrown with weeds. To cope, you divided yourself. You crafted this outer persona, the acceptable version, courteous, easygoing, reliable, non-threatening. It served you well. It got you friends, praise, a sense of belonging. But at what price? The longer you hid behind it, the more you lost touch with what was concealed. Now, you might not even realize the split exists. You've mistaken the mask for your true face, and the people around you only know this edited, filtered edition of you. But listen closely. You can't achieve wholeness by buffing up that persona to shine brighter. True wholeness comes from embracing and integrating the shadow. As Hayes so wisely put it, until you bring the unconscious into the light, it will steer your life, and you'll mistake it for destiny. Let those words echo in your heart. Really feel them. Right now, you're not the captain of your ship. Your persona is just reacting on autopilot, while your shadow pulls the strings from the depths. Until you shine a light on it, you'll remain a marionette, dancing to the tune of your own denials. So, pause with me here. Let's get personal. What have you pushed down? Not the things you personally dislike, but the parts you fear others would reject. What did your parents, your teachers, the world around you label as too much? What got you scolded, teased, or sidelined? What did you learn to mute just to maintain harmony? Maybe you were too boisterous as a kid, or too introspective, too tender-hearted, too driven, too passionate, too sensual, too fiery, too reclusive, too feeling, too straightforward. Each time you toned it down, you drifted further from your essence. You didn't just suppress traits. You dulled your instincts, softened your sharpness, buried your authenticity. The outcome? You became dependable, foreseeable, steady, easy to swallow, but never truly liberated. And now you're in a rut, succeeding on the surface, putting on the show, holding it all together, yet feeling this gnawing emptiness inside. Not because there's something wrong with you, but because you've been operating as only half of who you are. Hayes observed this in so many lives. People who prided themselves on being good, but harbored secret grudges. Folks who seemed serene, but were simmering with unrest. Individuals who poured out generosity, yet felt utterly unseen. There were those with crowds of admirers, but no solid sense of self. High achievers who wondered why success left them hollow. It's because building a life on the persona alone cuts you off from your soul's depth. Let that hit you emotionally. Really let it sink in, like a wave crashing over you. This is why all those self-help books and seminars fall short. They're often just polishing the mask, urging you to better yourself, to refine your image. But what your heart truly craves isn't enhancement. It's unification. You need to descend into that shadow realm, into the hidden basement of your psyche, into the ache and the unknown. Not to wallow there, but to reclaim what's rightfully yours. Your passion, your gut feelings, your sharpness, your righteous anger, your deepest wants, your unfiltered hunger, the full spectrum of you. And I know this step terrifies most people because it doesn't feel secure. It feels like stepping off a cliff, like the end of everything familiar. In a sense, it is a kind of death. The persona has to fade away, not in one dramatic swoop, but gradually, layer by vulnerable layer. You have to spot it in action, catch yourself mid-moment. Every time you agree when your soul screams, no. Every forced grin to ease someone else's discomfort. Every apology for simply stating your needs. Every time you mute your voice to stay in their good graces. That's not true kindness. That's erasing yourself, bit by bit. The antidote? Cultivate an awareness so keen that you feel your shadow's presence. Embrace your inner contradictions, and choose completeness over old routines. That's the essence of individuation, not becoming improved, but becoming fully you. It stirs something profound, doesn't it? That pull toward wholeness. But make no mistake, my friend. This path has a cost, and it's one that might bring tears to your eyes as you face it. You'll lose connections that were built on the old you. You'll let down those who adored your compliant mask. You'll shatter habits that once dulled the pain. You'll wrestle with guilt for finally putting yourself first. Yet, in exchange, you'll draw in breaths of freedom so deep and pure, it'll feel like waking from a long sleep. Because no external pat on the back is worth betraying your own spirit. Hayes understood this intimately. He knew the pursuit of truth often leads to solitude, but the payoff is liberation. When you stop chasing validation from outside, your inner clarity becomes a force, sharp, unyielding. Others might squirm because they can no longer sway you. You don't crave their nods anymore. You don't twist yourself to preserve superficial harmony. Instead, you guard your inner peace, even if it sparks conflict around you. That's the beautiful, emotional shift. You move from, how do I appear, to, does this resonate with my core? From, will they approve, to, is this authentic? From, am I likable, to, am I true to myself? And truth? It's not always gentle or pretty. It's edged. It's quiet when it needs to be. It's chaotic. But it's you, raw and real. Here's a secret that might make your heart race with excitement. The more truth you weave into your being, the less power the world holds over you. You stand firm against pressure, unshaken by criticism, refusing to shrink or sweeten yourself to fit. You carry your full self, shadow and all, and people sense it, like an electric current. They might not get it, might even pull away, but they feel your presence. You become enigmatic, untouchable, a mirror reflecting their own hidden fears. That's your strength, not in being adored, but in being complete. This isn't about tweaking for perfection. It's about embracing wholeness. You're not on this earth to be everyone's favorite. You're here to be unapologetically, undeniably you. Now, let's delve even deeper, hand in hand, into the everyday habits that keep this divide alive in you. We'll uncover why you keep drawing in situations that reopen old wounds, how mistaking emotional compliance for grown-up behavior holds you back, and the precise steps Hayes outlined for stepping onto the road of genuine individuation. You've glimpsed the half-life you've been living, not your full self, but a sliver, a survival suit fashioned from nods of approval, standing ovations, and the deep-seated dread of being overwhelming. And now you're starting to sense what Hayes termed the shadow's call, that inner pull, the heartfelt friction between your authentic essence and the role you've been enacting. the emotional tug-of-war between raw truth and shiny facade. If that friction is igniting a fire in you, embrace it. It's a sign you're coming alive again. Because once you recognize your persona as mere costume, you notice how constricting it is, how draining it feels to maintain the act, how utterly spent you are after every insincere agreement. But to truly emerge as your true self, we need to unpack the mechanisms that sustain the false one. Your actions aren't haphazard. Your repeating patterns aren't cute idiosyncrasies. They're the reflexes of a soul in pieces. Hayes taught that without spotting these snares that keep you fragmented, you'll remain a performer, faking serenity while crumbling inside. Let's shine a light on them together with compassion and courage. First up, emotional obedience. It's that ingrained notion that goodness means always going along, that true kindness is about yielding, that being mature involves endless patience and tolerance, even when someone's trampling your limits. You've heard it all your life, that reacting strongly is childish, anger is poisonous, saying no stirs, trouble, needing space, is selfish. So, you play the part. You diminish yourself, you acquiesce, you pacify, you prioritize others. But Hayes would look you in the eye and ask, with gentle firmness, what is this costing your spirit? Because this isn't real maturity. It's surrender, the shadow of fear disguised as virtue. If you never learn to separate genuine compassion from blind compliance, you'll spend your days in a cycle of unspoken apologies. Hayes labeled this as over-identifying with the persona. When you're so terrified of your edgier sides, your directness, your fire, that you banish them. But they don't vanish. They seep out in sneaky ways, through subtle resentments, through over-accommodating, through bone-deep fatigue, through crises of who you even are. To embrace personal growth, begin by recognizing the distinction between seeking comfort and living with integrity. It means allowing your genuine self to be present. When you clarify your boundaries and priorities, others may need time to adjust, which is a natural part of interaction. This is where individual authenticity becomes clear and real. You express your boundaries directly, without softening them to please. You share your truth without diminishing it for the comfort of others. You affirm your value, choosing genuine well-being over momentary ease. It's natural for relationships to adjust as you embrace your authentic self. People who have grown accustomed to a certain dynamic might need time to adapt to your evolving presence. As you step into this new role, their way of connecting with you may change. This is a gnarly part of the journey toward freedom. You can choose to maintain a persona for others or embrace the fullness of who you are. While embracing this can be challenging, choosing authenticity leads to greater personal fulfillment. When we consistently prioritize others' comfort over our own well-being, it can prevent us from fully realizing our potential. We might find ourselves repeating patterns that no longer align with our growth, subtly diminishing our unique perspective. So, let's commit to clearly expressing your needs, sharing your honest thoughts, and owning your presence without apology. This signifies moving forward from prioritizing emotional comfort above all else. Next, let's explore a common pattern: the tendency to gravitate towards familiar relationship dynamics. This isn't about attracting challenges, but rather a subconscious inclination to revisit known experiences in an effort to find clarity or resolution. Often, individuals may observe recurring themes in their connections, interactions that resonate with past experiences. This feeling of familiarity, sometimes more than instant compatibility, can influence our choices as we seek to understand or complete an emotional cycle. Picture it like this: your inner child, still bruised from long ago, recreates those scenarios, hoping to rewrite the ending. You label it romance. Hayes calls it projection. You think, "I'm inexplicably drawn," but he'd say, "You're attempting to resolve an unfinished tale from your past." You pursue the distant, the judgmental, the unreliable, not because you're flawed, but because your mind is scripting a redo of what you couldn't fix as a kid. But here's the gut-wrenching catch: healing doesn't happen in the same toxic soil that caused the wound. You just loop the cycle, deepening the shadow, feeling more unworthy, more lost, more adrift when alone. That's why the path of individuation calls for retreat. Not permanent isolation, but a sacred pause to shatter the pattern. A time to halt seeking bonds through old scars, to discover that your completeness isn't in another's embrace, but in your courage to stand solo. That's when attraction transforms. You shift from craving drama to valuing security, from begging for validation to upholding your own rules, from wondering, will they commit, to, do I remain true to myself in their presence? Feel that empowerment rising? It's yours. Let's press on to trap 3, the craving for certainty. Hayes saw the ego as a guardian of stability, order, routine. So when you begin shedding the persona, the ego freaks out. It floods you with doubts, terrors, tales of doom. Not because the shadow is evil, but because it's uncharted. The ego prefers known suffering over unknown joy. So, you undermine yourself, you delay, you hesitate, you postpone your authenticity until you feel prepared. But truth is, readiness is a myth. You don't need more prep time. You need bold choices. Act without waiting for green lights. Speak without endless rehearsals. Move without defending every step. Individuation thrives not in safety, but in the leap into the messy, the unsure, the what if they judge. That jump? It's where your true identity is born, amid the vulnerability, the raw emotion. Now, Trap 4 sneaks in under the guise of progress, the obsession with self-betterment. It's that endless loop of fixing, healing, questing for the next version of you. You devour books, fill journals, ponder deeply, tweak habits, and still, real change eludes you. Why? Because this improvement has morphed into your latest mask. It masquerades as profound, but it's avoidance in enlightened clothing. You're still striving to earn your value, dodging the shadow by dissecting it rather than merging with it. Hayes would urge, enough with the analysis, face it head on. Less theory, more revelation, less discussion, more action. Clarity isn't the goal. Confrontation is. Dive into what you've evaded. Say that firm no out loud. Enforce that boundary. Hold that silence instead of performing. That's the crack in the facade, the softening of the shadow, the moment you encounter your true self. And it tugs at your heartstrings, doesn't it? The relief, the tears of recognition. Finally, the most alluring trap, the illusion of the good person. From early on, you were molded to be pleasant, agreeable, likable, and you constructed your whole identity around it. But Hayes would remind you that goodness isn't the ultimate aim. Wholeness is. Your fixation on being good is just rejection phobia dressed up. You avoid causing pain, which is admirable, but truth sometimes stings. It disappoints. It shatters illusions. If your sense of self crumbles under that, it was never solid. So choose niceness or truth, compliance or authenticity, the crowd's favor or your own soul. When wholeness wins, magic unfolds. You quit bargaining internally. Stop seeking approvals. Cease flexing for acceptance. In that exposed, tender space, your real self emerges, softly at first, then with growing strength. It chooses boldly, speaks with crystal clarity, sheds guilt like old skin. One day, you'll realize, no more pretending, no more shows, no more quests. You're simply being. That's the essence, my friend. That's individuation. not a makeover into something novel, but a homecoming to your timeless core, unedited, expanding, unbreakable. If you've journeyed this far with me, you've already achieved what few dare. You've gazed at your worn mask, your carried shadow, the deceptions propping up your false self. You've navigated the ache of knowing the you you've presented was a concession, a shield born of acclaim, hush, and dutiful emotions. You've ignited Hayes's process of individuation. So here's how we wrap this emotional odyssey. Cease pursuing clarity. Live it. Don't beg for allowances. Claim your space. Forgo performances for acceptance. Set its terms. Embrace your darkness. Weave it in. From here, your mission is clear and stirring. Safeguard your peace as sacred. Voice your truth as vital as air. Navigate life as if it's your birthright. Let the facade ignite and vanish. Allow the shadow to expand and live. And let the authentic you, the unflinching, unbegging, unapologetic one, stride through life's flames, unscathed. That's who you've always been, deep down. Welcome home, my friend.